Hundreds paid tribute to Jayda Woods-Johnson tonight, a high school football field packed with family, friends, students, and community members united in grief and disbelief. The Lynnwood teen was killed in a shooting at the Alderwood Mall Wednesday. Good evening, I'm Michelle Esteban. Tonight was about honoring the memory of Jayda, just 13 years old. KOMO's Jackie Kent is live at Mountlake Terrace High School, where the candlelight vigil took place. Jackie, so many came to honor Jayda and to support her family.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. For a couple of hours, those who knew and loved Jayda poured their hearts out to share their fondest memories of her. It's one way they hope to help each other through the grief.
It almost doesn't seem real.
It's stamped on shirts and made known over the mic that Jayda Woods-Johnson will be forever 13.
I know Jayda would be so happy right now to see how many people care about her.
In a packed football field for a vigil, friends, family, and Jayda's teacher.
She just lit up the classroom. She was kind.
All say she made a lasting impression on them before her life was cut short. Her aunt told us Jayda was walking out of the Alderwood Mall with a friend when she was struck by a bullet that police allege was fired by a 16-year-old boy. An altercation broke out between two groups before the gunfire, but police said Jayda was not connected to either of them.
And if it can happen to me and our daughter, it can happen to you and yours.
Jayda's mom, Tabitha Johnson, broke down while thanking those who shared fond memories.
She truly did love everybody.
Jayda's cousin Kelly Huffman says she considers Jayda like a younger sister, and she remembers spending Jayda's last weekend together.
You never knew what she was going to do or say next, but it would probably involve some type of dancing or screaming or laughing. She was always laughing.
She says Jayda was an aspiring actress, and it's no surprise that red was her favorite color to match her bold personality.
She was a very strong leader, even at her young age, in such a playful way.
It's during this unimaginable time of grief, Huffman says the loss brings what really matters to light.
Never lose sight of what's really important, especially if you get annoyed or upset at a kid for being a kid. Just enjoy them and their youth while you have it.
And we are still waiting on a police report detailing exactly what happened. Also, a charging decision is expected this week for the 16-year-old shooting suspect. Of course, we will keep you updated as the story develops. For now, live in Mountlake Terrace, Jackie Kent, KOMO News.
Alan Preston, there's still a lot of unanswered questions about what happened inside the mall during that shooting. Today, I filed a motion with the Snohomish County Court asking a judge to unseal the police report about the 16-year-old suspect who is, for now, out of custody. At the Alderwood Mall, steps from where Jayda Woods-Johnson was killed, there is now a memorial of flowers and candles. As friends, family, and the community honor Jayda, there are still concerns about the teen accused of killing her. That 16-year-old suspect is out of custody after his parents posted a $500,000 bail. We went to juvenile court and obtained this order where Judge Patrick Moriarty found there was probable cause for charges of murder and assault and called the teen a threat to community safety.
People in the community have a legitimate concern here.
Attorney Mark Lindquist is a former prosecutor and not involved in this case. He says he was surprised the bail wasn't higher.
When the charge is murder and the judge finds the defendant is a threat to the community, I would expect bail to be significantly higher than $500,000.
Police said Jayda Woods-Johnson was an innocent bystander, and the shooter was among a group of juveniles who got into a fight in the mall's food court. Police say he pulled out a gun and fired, and the round struck Jayda. The shooting happened in the mall where there are likely surveillance cameras, which could be critical to the investigation. Police may have a tough time questioning the juveniles involved in the fight because of a state law forbidding investigators from questioning juveniles outside the presence of a lawyer.
Typically, once a juvenile witness consults with a lawyer, they are highly unlikely to talk to law enforcement, even if they have nothing to hide.
Now, police have said they have not found the gun that was involved in the shooting. As for the release order, I can confirm today that the suspect is allowed to leave his house as long as he's accompanied by his parents. Jayda's parents, the victim, say they are disgusted that he was allowed to be released from jail on that bail, and prosecutors tell me today they could file charges as early as tomorrow in this case. Certainly still more to come. Reporting live in Lynnwood, Jeremy Harris, KOMO News.
The teen accused of killing 13-year-old Jayda Woods-Johnson during a shooting at the Alderwood Mall last week could soon learn the charges he'll face. The 16-year-old was booked on suspicion of murder but bailed out of custody less than a day later. I talked with Jeremy Harris tonight about what's next in this case. Well, Jeremy, thanks for joining us again here on ARC Seattle tonight. So what is the latest in this investigation?
Well, right now, the next step's going to be whether or not the prosecutors file charges, and we've been pushing them on today, and they told us that they could be filing charges against the 16-year-old suspect as early as tomorrow. For now, we know he is out of custody, and we came up here to Snohomish County today to try and get more information about how he was released from custody. That's one of the biggest questions I've seen about this case in our reporting is why was a 16-year-old murder suspect allowed to bail out of jail? We now know that he was given a bail of $500,000. That was posted by his family, and he was released from custody. He is on house arrest, but he can go pretty much anywhere except for the Alderwood Mall as long as he's in the company of his parents.
So we talked about this last week, and at that point in time, we were still questioning, as this was very fresh, as to whether or not he could hang out with his friends or anything like that. But it sounds like now he can leave the house as long as his parents are with him. Is that right?
That's what the release conditions say in the report that we obtained today. The judge, that's sort of when a juvenile is booked into custody, they can go before a judge and say, listen, I want to have bail, I want to be released. And in that, a judge can weigh a variety of factors and set conditions of release so that if you do post bail, here are the conditions that you have to abide by. And so that is what the judge, that's the order that we got today from the judge, is was setting those release conditions.
As far as the next steps in this case, what are we looking at here? Do we know when he'll be back in court potentially, or do we know, when there's going to be a full write-up on the charges that they're potentially going to present?
Well, there is a police report out there, Preston, because in order to be booked into jail, there has to be what's called a probable cause affidavit, essentially the police justifying why they are putting somebody into custody. So we know there is a police report that would likely explain sort of what the police know, why they believe this teen committed this crime, and I would expect that to say something along the lines of he's on video doing it. We have video from the mall showing him do it, but we don't have access to that, and that's because it's juvenile court, and the rules are a little different in juvenile court. Oftentimes you can't get until the charges are filed. This afternoon, I went to the court hearing in Snohomish County, filed a motion to have the judge unseal that. That looks like it's going to end up having to go before a hearing where the judge may or may not unseal that. But for right now, we don't really know too much about the police investigation other than what they said very early on, which is that there was a fight between two groups of juveniles. One of those juveniles, the 16-year-old suspect, pulled out a gun, fired, and that round hit Jayda Woods-Johnson, who was just an innocent, uninvolved bystander. I did learn a little bit more today, Preston, about exactly what she was doing at the mall. We understand that she may have just been to a boba shop with a friend. They had just gotten some tea, and she was just standing there. And according to police, she was just wrong place, wrong time, and she was an innocent bystander to the shooting.
Going back quickly here, Jeremy, to the bail amount that was set, I think after we learned that this suspect bailed out with that $500,000 bail amount set, we were shocked. And then I know the entire community has been shocked. Now, I've seen so many write-ups on social media, like Nextdoor and different community forums, where people are just kind of just taken aback by the fact that this kid was able to not only bail out, but the bail was set where it was. And like we said last week, this is unusual, and others and other experts, former, attorneys, et cetera, former, defense attorneys and other people also find this unusual, that the bail was set at such a low amount.
Well, you're right. And, when we talked to Mark Lindquist, who's the former Pierce County prosecuting attorney, he said that he was surprised that it would be a $500,000. He said in a murder case, he would expect to see something that's seven figures, so $1 million and up. But, the judge is going to look at things like, does this person have what are the circumstances of the case? And those are the things that he's determining what bail is going to be set.
Now, the prosecutors do have an option. They can go back to the judge and say, we would like you to reconsider what you set the bail at. The prosecutors can say, well, there's new information, something you didn't consider when you set the original bail. And in that, they could potentially get the bail increased, and they would also have to bring that juvenile back in front of the judge and have a hearing. So we may see tomorrow, if the charges are filed by the prosecutor, we may see them file a motion that says, hey, we want a higher bail here. We don't like this $500,000 amount. It needs to be higher. And potentially, the juvenile could be taken back into custody pending the trial. Then it would be essentially a higher burden for his family to come back and post that bail again. But you're right. There's been a lot of questions from the community about why, for essentially $50,000 cash, you can get a bond and pay that $500,000 and have this kid walking out of jail less than 24 hours after he's accused of shooting and killing a 13-year-old girl at the mall.
I wanted to ask this, Jeremy. I'm not sure if you know the answer to this question or not, but we know the mother brought her son in, the suspect, to essentially turn himself in. But do we know if that suspect ever admitted to the crime or anything like that, or was just basically dragged there by his mom saying, hey, you need to turn yourself in? Do we even know if he wanted to at this point?
Well, and you are asking the right question there, Preston, and that's why we hope to get a copy of the police report where they would presumably explain some of that as well. For now, that's all under seal. But here's something to consider about this, Preston. The Washington State Code, state statute that was recently changed, says that police cannot question juveniles outside the presence of an attorney. Even if they're not even suspected of committing a crime, they have to contact a lawyer and have them present on the phone and say, what do you want to tell this client? Now, what do you think a lawyer is going to tell a juvenile if they've potentially been involved in a fight at the mall? They're going to tell them, don't talk to the cops. They're going to say, do not talk to the police. So it's probably, now we don't know this for a fact in this case, but we do know this in general. It has become extremely difficult for law enforcement to question juveniles, because the instinct would be, if you're there, you run in, you're the responding officer, you start getting that scene locked down, what are you going to do? Start grabbing people. What did you see? Fill out a statement. Tell me what you saw. They cannot do that without contacting a lawyer for that individual juvenile first. And we don't know this in this case, but it would not surprise me if the police contacted lawyers for the juveniles who were involved in that fight, and those juveniles were told, do not speak to the police.
Incredibly difficult to put together a crime scene scenario and get it solved. I mean, I can't even imagine how much time it actually takes to put these together, if they even do get put together sometimes, because how difficult it is to interview these different juveniles. All right, well, Jeremy, thanks so much for your update, and please keep us posted on any new developments as the story continues to develop. Obviously, still so much left to discover here. And as always, thanks for being with us here on Arc Seattle tonight. We appreciate it.
You bet, Preston. Thanks for having me.